So part of not getting ready for camping, but also something that needs to be done, is we've got to get this Buick going. So I'm going to take the tank out of it this morning and drop it at the radiator shop where they're going to clean the tank, and I can put that in so that at some point I can get this moving, because we're going to get this out of here at some point. So anyway, let me work on getting that tank out. Looks pretty straightforward. You got that one there. That one there, I've soaked them. Let's take these two nuts off and drop these straps, see if we get it, how it goes. Okay, we're gonna cut that old line there and we'll replace it, but it'll be easier to cut it now than try and fight it. And it's just a little short piece of line. Here's the other hose clamp, and then we've got our one wire. It's pretty straightforward. So I've worked on a lot of 50s cars. And one thing about the 50s cars is that all the screws, and see, that's coming off of there. It's not snapping off, it's unscrewing. You can't really see, but I guess the point I want to make is that the metal back then was way better. And I don't know if that's because it's been recycled and gotten junkier and less pure or what it is, but I mean, you can take these bolts literally just came off no problem. They might actually be replaced, but I mean, these old 50s cars, you can just take bolts off and they just come off. They'll have some surface rust on it, but they are tough, so it's a pleasure working on them. Plus they're simple as hell. So okay, so I was leaning over to do something here, and this is just, that's no good. All right, so let's look for a new tank online for a 52 Buick. I bet you they'll probably have this. That sending unit is also fucked. Excuse my French. I'm guessing I'll have to take that out and weld that in, which I've done before, which is not a problem, especially on a new tank. So I guess I'm gonna go search online, but I'm glad I got this out, because you got to get the tank out. That's one of the first things I do when I get an old car, is get this nasty ass tank out of there. And we need fresh fuel supply. That's going to be one of our ingredients. So this is garbage. Okay, this is not related to the GMC, but we're going to put this in here. Got our new tank. Tank. All right, so let me get my new sending unit, put that on there. So there's our sending unit. This came with the sending unit. This came with the tank. This is a much thicker gasket, so you know what, we'll just use that. Why not? It's just amazing to me how for a 7-year-old car you can just order a brand new gas tank and a new sending unit. So that's pretty wonderful. All right, so now I'm going to put this thing on. So the previous owner had cut this line, so we're going to take that piece off the old sending unit and put it on there. And then I'm going to cut my little rubber tube connection piece and have everything ready, and then we'll put it up in there. Okay, so this is all installed. This is fine, but there's nothing that holds this in place. The other one was welded on there, so I'll probably come up with something to stabilize that. And the other thing is that my line for my sending unit is in there, and I don't know if it's hitting anything, if there's a bump so it doesn't ground itself out. So I guess what I need to do is I need to hook the battery up real quick and just turn my fuel gauge on and see if it reads empty. Okay, so on this 52 Buick we're going to get running, we have replaced the gas tank. I've rebuilt the brake master cylinder, none of which has been shown. And the next thing we're going to do, the motor turns, we're going to pull these plugs out and get this air cleaner off of here. And we're going to just lubricate the cylinders, spin it around a couple times. We're going to fill our new gas tank up with gas. and while we're cranking it with the plugs out, maybe we'll get lucky and it'll pump some fuel up to the carburetor. We'll crack that. And so this car has not been run since '97. So if we do some quick math, 2000 to 2020 is 20 years, and 3 years to 7, and 3 years to 23 is 6, so 26 years. That's the last time it was started. So our first attempt to order a rear windshield ended in the guy wrapping it in bubble wrap and it not making it, and so we're going to work on getting a new rear glass here. Half tempted to just make it out of plexiglass, but we'll see. This car is going to be a driver for sure, with no extra effort put into it. I put some used rear tires in the back there. So anyway, all right, so let's get this air cleaner off and these plugs out of here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm taping these plug wires to this plastic rod here, and I'm sitting here with my tape, and it literally just vaporized. This is an amazing thing that happens when you're doing stuff like that. Oh, there it is. Magic. Yes, vaporizing tape, vaporizing tools, these things happen, especially in this mess. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, I'm gonna put 5 gallons of gas in here. And a new shiny tank, and we'll make sure nothing's leaking. Of course, it shouldn't leak because there's no holes in the bottom of this tank. It all pulls from the top except for the drain plug, so we'll check that. Hey, here's my other pair of glasses I was missing. It's amazing what you can find in here. So how great is this? Get these plugs out. It's pretty amazingly easy. They're all coming out, you know, no problem at all. That looks good. That looks great. Them out. Let's get these rest of these out. So I already know the motor's not stuck. Just gonna put some deep creep in each of these cylinders here. One. Making a mess. Anyway, you get the idea. I'll do this, and then I'll just spin it by hand, 360 degrees a couple times, and we'll use the starter. Guess I need to get a stand, but I can literally grab the fan. You can hear it's turning around fine. All right, let's try some starter action here. All right, so I'm getting nothing with the starter switch. We should be cranking, so I'll try touching these two leads together, see if we get anything. Okay, so I got my voltage. It is crossing this when the switch is on. I use my multimeter here. I gotta figure out what's going on down here with this starter. Okay, so this wire is coming out of there, and this other wire here is going down to the starter. And without a light, you can't really see what's happening, but that's going to the starter down there. And meanwhile, the original wire is right here. So I'm tempted, I don't have anybody here with me to do this, but if this works, I'd rather just hook up the old way of doing it. Then when I'm messing with the engine out here, I can use that. But let's see if we can get this thing to crank at least. Okay, well, we got nothing going on with the starter in there. So Well, that's not true. We have it clicking but not spinning. So I guess we're going to have to remove that starter and take it apart and clean it all up and get it working again. Okay, so here's our solenoid. I don't know if that's working. And then we're free spinning that way. The other way I got about half a spin out of it, and then it kind of seized up. So I think I need to take this apart and just clean off everything inside here and probably have a good working starter. So you can see that in there, or maybe you can't see, but that's kind of green and nasty. So we're gonna clean all that out. Okay, now you can see better what that looks like there. So clean that off. Okay, so that's clean now. I just use 1500 and then some contact cleaner, and then I'll put some dielectric grease on it whenever you install it. And I don't glob it up with this stuff. I just put some on and then almost just wipe it back off again, but it just will probably give it a slightly smoother surface. This is always how I've done it. I have no idea if it's wrong or right, but it always seems to work, so we're going to find out shortly. Okay, whoops, that's my horn. So that's the starter now working. So a lot of times when you have a starter that's dead and you're going to take it to the starter repair shop, spend a bunch of dough, really that's all it needs. That starter was not working, now it's working. And if I use this wire that's way undersized, whoop, oh no, it's again. Nope. Let's see if the bigger wire will get it to spin when it doesn't want to. Yeah, so that works. So that, the little wire is just too small to get it to go. But let's open the distributor cap and see if we got any spark. Okay. Let's see if I can see. Yeah, we got spark. Okay, that's good. Okay, and we put a new set of plugs in there. We'll put all our caps back on. So we'll do that. Okay, now all my plugs are back on there. I've removed that hard fuel on. I'm gonna put the vacuum pump on it and get some fuel through there. All right, let's see if we get anything here. Oh, there's fuel. It's kind of nasty, so I'm gonna pull that through until I get some clean stuff, but I don't have my can on here, of course. Okay, now is where I need the manual starter, but just for kicks, maybe I'll get super lucky. I'm gonna pour a little bit of gas down the throat of this carburetor, quickly try and start it, see if anything happens. Let's go see if we get anything. Turn it to, whoops, Jesus. Nothing. So I need to get the motor spinning over. That's good. I need to get a starter button controller for outside there so I can see what's going on and feed it some more gas and make sure I'm actually getting spark at the spark plugs, etc. Okay, so I was getting spark under there, not getting spark out of any of the plugs, so I'm gonna go see if I can get me a new coil, see if that does it. Maybe I'll get a cap and rotor while I'm at it. But anyway, I guess that's it. We do have fuel coming out of the squirters in the carburetor, so that's good. So we know our float bowls are filling and we're not leaking gas all over the place, so I guess that's good. So yes, we're gonna, maybe the coil's bad. So we'll try and, we got no spark, so we'll figure it out. New coil wire. we got this tap, so we're gonna figure out what that is. Oh, go ahead and cut it off. All right, let's see if this thing will move under its own power. Starts up nice. Here we go. Got no brakes. Nothing's happening. I think the brakes might have locked up. See what happens. So our linkage is off. Low is drive. Whoops, hold on. Reverse is drive. We actually have brakes. And then our tapping at idle is now stopped. So let's go look at this motor. Pretty amazing. That's and we're even charging, so that's 20 something years, almost 30 years sitting. It's a sign of a good motor. Come on. We got a water source. We're going to shut this thing off. That's the little piece of hose, which is probably a 3/4 piece. And here's where our 3/4 hose is going to be, right in here in this international. We can definitely cut off an inch or two and be fine. All right, now it's super quiet. We've adjusted our transmission. Go ahead and put it in reverse. Let's see if it wants to go in reverse now. Reverse. Like, take your foot off the brake for a second. Yep, okay. Awesome. Okay, now I'm replacing radiator hoses. There's our first one down here. And then we're gonna change this thermostat. They didn't have a gasket, but this was left in the car. So it's probably some kind of super NOS gasket. I'm gonna take this thermostat housing off, see what's in there. And then for the top hose, this is the bottom hose. I got a hose that was not the same as this, but had the same bends, and I cut that off it and made a hose out of that. And then here's our top hose that was on there. And then I found this, which is gonna be close. I might have to trim a little bit off that, but we'll see. So if your auto parts store lets you go dig around in their radiator hoses, usually you can find something that'll work. And there's our thermostat we're going to replace. That, I don't think there's a gasket on there, nope. So we'll just clean those surfaces off before we rip this to pieces. That will work. So okay, so this is kind of neat. Here's the thermostat that came out of there. Very heavy. And this is the new one that goes in there. A little bit lighter, lighter design, but I've not seen one of these. It's a Johnson Control is the brand of that. Looks like a lot more is going on in there. Anyway, it may have been stuck. It fits right in there. All right, keep putting this back together. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a new valve cover gasket on it. We got that. I'm gonna put our antifreeze back in it, and we're going to put a battery hold down here, and then we're gonna top off our brake fluid and go for a drive. All right, so that's topped off. Now I got to get this valve cover off. And it's just these two, really, bolts here. I mean, there's nuts on top. I've loosened that one. these out. We're gonna put these right there. Okay, look at that. So now we're going to take the old gasket off, put the new one on. Here's your gasket. It's a little bit, wants to bend up, so we'll have to finesse it on there, but that'll be fine. Okay, so now I got valve cover gasket on. Now we got to go to battery, and the frustrating thing is I feel like at some point I had the cover to this, like it was in the car, and I know it's hard to believe, but I can't find the thing. And I think I had it, but maybe I'm imagining that I had it. So I'm going to poke around here for a while, and if I can't find it, then I'm going to just strap that in with a strap for now, and move forward. All right, let's see if it'll just start up. I got my battery hooked up. We can pull it out, wait for the thermostat to open. Make sure that's working. I'm not. This will be a miracle if it just fires right up. Pump it a few times. Turn the gas on. Okay, so that's on. Okay, nothing. So let's put a little gas in there and see if that makes a difference. All right, well, I just had to pump it a few more times. We're running. Let's pull out of here. All right, now we're gonna let this heat up. I'm gonna turn my air compressor on and add some air to these front tires. There's our radiator fluid. And I'm gonna turn on my compressor. Very quiet. All right, got my air cleaner back on. Nice and quiet there. That's like a quiet tractor engine. Now we're gonna put our hood back on. Okay. Got the hood back on. There she blows. All right, let's get in here and take it for the ride. I bet most videos you guys here don't have as many rooster crows as mine does. Okay, now I can see where it says off on. So turn that on. Here's my button. Okay, we're going. All right, here we go. We're Dynaflowing. This car hasn't, I mean, other than another garage, we've now driven further than this car has driven in 26 years. Let's see what our brakes feel like. They feel pretty bad, but they're working. I'm not going to go fast. I still have to do all the wheel cylinders, and maybe this is just the way they feel, but we're not going to push it today. Wow, our speedometer's working. Nothing on the blinker side. Well, I hear something. Alright, well anyway, let's go. It's hard to film without power steering, but it's not, I mean, it's certainly not hard to drive. Here we go. We're back in 1952. Well, this car sat for, what is it? It's 97, so how many years is that? 2023, yeah, 26 years. We're going again. So we need some tires in the front. I can feel the hard spots on that, but thing runs good. It's quiet. It stops technically. It's hard to do. Like I said, with two hands would be no problem, but we gotta film this inaugural drive. Our temperature, so our amps are working, our temperature's working, and our oil pressure's high. Our speedometer works. I feel like I feel some heat in this cab, so. Wow, it's got nice pickup, but those front tires got to go. That's where we're getting some of our rumbliness from. But boy, it really, that's a nice feeling motor. Well, there we have it. That's the end of this episode. See you all soon.